Well, for me, Springfield's my hometown, and you only get one hometown. And downtown is the heart of the city. It's where the arts, culture, entertainment are, the history, the jobs, the economy. So I think downtown matters. It's not an area we should ever give up on, and needs revitalization. So it needs efforts like this. Momentum on Main Street, we created it to generate momentum, to hear stories from the people who believe in that same mission. And really to develop that next generation of developers, building owners, business owners, and give them the tools and hopefully knock out some of the hurdles in front of them if they're real or perceived, so that they can live their dreams out downtown.
This is a good day that I get to share our experiences and the value in moving to downtown Springfield with all these folks.
It's a promotion of cottage food moving into a retail space. So again, it's the promotion of business, and especially farmers market and small business, and just getting people into the world of food sales.
As we begin, I want to just shout out a couple of great people that we have in our audience right now. First and foremost, our Alderwoman Lakeisha Purchase, a little wave there. And also our Executive Director, Kayla Graven, and our Momentum on Main Street committee members. If you all would stand up real quick so people could see you and give a little wave. Thank you. And also just a couple more, if we have any board of directors or our economic development partners as well, if you would stand, please. We have so many of you in the audience, and you add so much usefulness to our great organization. Give a wave, if you would, please. Thank you. These are the people to know, especially if you're in trying to get from Market to Main Street, as we're going to go over here. And so my name as well is, probably should start with that, is Piero Tycho. I am the Assistant Director for Downtown Springfield, Inc., which then makes me also the Farmers Market Manager for Old Capitol Farmers Market. And we have two great folks on our panel tonight to help us understand what that journey from Market to Main Street looks like. And as Gordon Davis, the owner and operator of Whimsy Tea Company. Yeah, let's hear it for Gordon. Thank you. And Colleen Kelly, the Assistant Director of Environmental Health for Sangamon County Department of Public Health. Thank you all so much for taking the time off to come here and share your perspective with this. So my first question, we're just going to hop right into it because we got a little bit of a late start, but it's to Gordon. And that is, how did Whimsy Tea Company's journey of going from Market to Main Street kind of start? Who was in your support system to help guide that initial launch and starting with the Old Capitol Farmers Market?
All right. Okay, see that, because thank you. So that's what that question's a multi-parter. So we always wanted to be in a brick and mortar position, but we wanted to grow like by small steps. And after our first year, we were sort of like, oh yeah, this is going to take about 5 years before we're in a retail space. And then halfway through our second year at the market, we discovered that there was support there to start looking into having a brick and mortar. And so I talked to Kayla and Lisa Clemens Stott and Sarah Goldman, and we started looking at spaces, and yeah, just sort of eased into it. We had the market behind us because we knew who our customers were. We knew that there was a place that people wanted, and so we met that. And let's see.
Thank you so much. And if you wanted to expound a little bit, like when you were first starting at the market, how that kind of began for you, what this started that first part of that journey, getting into the market.
Okay. So yeah, when we went into the market for the first time, we started a website because that was the idea was that first of all, we'd have a website, and then we launched the website, and the day it was launched, Kayla reached out to us through the contact me form. And so, hey, maybe you should apply for the farmers market. It might be a good fit. I think you said you would really, really like tea in Springfield. And so it's like, oh, cool. And so we started that process of setting up, and we did just market to market, Saturday. I don't think we ever did a Wednesday market. But just being able to, okay, we're going to be there this Saturday and do that in stages rather than having to do everything all at once, because starting a business is already super, super expensive. And so I'm being able to take baby steps, like what about Bob, baby steps to the sailboat. We did that to the market. So
awesome. And yeah, we do sometimes, we see really interesting concepts. We're only human. If we want something at the market, we oftentimes go to try to recruit people. I did a little bit of that this weekend, actually. So the next question for Colleen is about getting into the market. I know there's the new cottage food laws updated has made starting your own food business as easy as it's ever been and really lowered that barrier. Can you explain a little bit of that, what cottage food is, the updates that have kind of gone behind it, and then what people need to think about before taking that first step, like Gordon did, of getting into the market?
Right on. So Illinois Stewardship Alliance has been pretty integral in pushing that cottage food law. And starting January 1st of this year, we saw monumental gains in it. So home business is almost achievable for anybody at this point. What we look at is we have a nice handout from the state. So on the back here is a handout, and it pretty much starts with, at this point, exclusions. So if you do have a menu item in mind, baked goods, kimchi, and fermented foods, it's pretty much sky's the limit, with exclusions being very minimal at this point. The other nice thing about cottage food is the market opened exponentially. Stewardship Alliance pushed for pretty much any location. So as a cottage food vendor, you now have the opportunity to sell direct to consumer, which is the important part. This is direct to consumer. I'm looking at you, I'm selling directly to you. But you can sell almost anywhere. So in the past, the market, your market venue was restricted to just the farmers market. And we were constantly trying to get farmers to be at various events so we could call it a farmers market. But nowadays, it's pretty much anything that you can do pop-up wise. So as long as you are present, you can sell your product as long as it's registered within the local health department. So I'm gonna look here because it is a multi-point question. So the nice thing with Sangamon County, kind of our nod to small business, is I know our fees are otherwise, you might have other thoughts, but the registration for cottage food has been free for the past 2 years, and we're going to keep it free for the foreseeable future. So that's kind of our nod to support small business, women-owned business, and just kind of get people to put their toes into that water if they are thinking, hey, I have this product, tea, will the market respond to that? So it's a nice thing, it's free. The first cost, that first hurdle that you have to do, and this is whether you are going to do cottage food or retail, is going to become a certified food protection manager. So I also brought a list of the companies that offer the courses, but that is always the first hurdle to entering any sort of market with your food. So once you have your certified food protection manager, it's an 8-hour course. It's usually about $100 to $180. It's 8 hours and it's a fairly tough test. So I always tell people engage your brain, but after you have that certificate, you're gonna come see me and we're gonna talk about your menu, what you wanna do, what you intend to serve, and sort of what your recipes are without divulging any trade secrets. So again, the big hurdle at this point for cottage food is going to be first check to make sure you don't have any restricted items on your menu. But after that, passing that test. So, and then sky's the limit pretty much.
Thank you so much. And we did fix the mic. Thank you for giving me the hand signals. No, it's all right. You helped me decide that. My next question then will be for Gordon, is that after Whimsy Tea's first season at the market, we all know 2020 happened, the world was kind of tossed upside down. And what sort of kind of benchmarks or business decisions were you using because you moved into your first brick and mortar during that time? And I think it's rare, but also it shows the power of what, a market could do for you. So what were some of the benchmarks that you were using to kind of, okay, now it's time to move?
Okay, well, that's pretty easy. So our first year, we were doing maybe $50 a market, sometimes like 300. We're like, woohoo, we sold a whole lot of tea. And then in 2020, the world went kablooey. And we found that partially because the market was the only thing you could do, our sales like just went through the roof. And so that really gave us the confidence that we could actually do a brick and mortar, because like I was a firefighter and park ranger. I don't have business experience. And so this is not something that I ever saw doing. But it's like, oh, we must be doing something right. People are responding, and so therefore we had the confidence to take that jump, and we opened that first brick and mortar in October 1st of 2020. So like right in the middle of everything just being chaos. So yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Gordon. That's great. And I got to notate that you mentioned farmers market being one of the few things you could do during that time. And another shout out to DSI and Old Capitol Farmers Market for pivoting so hard, especially Kayla Graven, who was the farmers market manager at the time too. I don't want to take credit for that, but I do know that really did make a big difference for a lot of small businesses. So Colleen, my next question to you would be, we were talking a lot about direct-to-consumer sales, where most of our vendors do start, but I know a lot of my vendors have moved into the retail selling space and the wholesale selling space. Can you speak a little bit about the difference between those two categories and what it takes to elevate to that?
Okay, so you've done cottage food, there's a need, and you're seeing your need for maybe larger space or bigger venues start to increase. And the nice thing with the farmers market and this exact situation where we're seeing ghost kitchens or people that are tiptoeing into the market, they're not quite sure, there's a ghost kitchen option. So that is your first tiptoe into that retail permit with us. So there are some fees associated with a brick and mortar when you're opening a true brick and mortar. The nice thing with the ghost kitchen, and I think we've seen it a couple of times now in Springfield, which we do have a pretty hearty cottage food market. So with the ghost kitchen, you are entering into a retail store that is already permitted. So we can use Gordon here. If he had his days of no operation on Monday and Tuesday, and he wanted to have somebody in his store, we would in fact permit another person inside that already permitted entity. So there's no overhead costs, there's nothing associated with the building. You are only paying the cost of the permit fee. And then we offer a 6-month fee. So it's enough to get you into the world of actually running a business in a brick and mortar with all the nuances associated with it. Once you get into that ghost option, if you're seeing that you need even more space, then at that point we start talking about plan review process and new facility, and it's City of Springfield's going to get involved, and it's a much larger process. But the ghost kitchen, our permit fees support that. I feel like it's a couple $100, 6 months, and you can kind of see how the market's going to react to what you're doing. The wonderful case scenario, I'm going to throw out Golden Hour. So she started as cottage food and really quickly moved into a retail permit, which allowed her to start selling, again, direct to consumer. She had a small storefront where she had business operating hours where anybody could come in. And then wonderful Springfield restaurants started supporting her, and she ended up with a manufacturing wholesale permit from the state, and you can see her now in Hy-Vee. So that is the whole thrust of this cottage food, if that's what you want, if you're looking to expand your market and make money this way. She's one of the golden stories, because she started right down there as cottage food at the farmers market and is now in Hy-Vee Grocery. And as a manufactured wholesaler food, she has the ability to basically travel anywhere throughout the state. So that's the end goal, I think, for some people. And some people, they just want to be able to bake from their home and go to the market and sell. But whatever fits your needs, we're trying to work with you to make sure that you're getting that product to the customer. So.
Awesome. Yeah, and actually a fun tidbit as well is Golden Hour is still at the farmers market as well. And Bonnie has her store right on 5th Street, Beelzebub's. We've all seen that. And she's another success story coming from the market, but staying at the market afterwards, because there's just that community and everything like that of support. It's kind of like their marketing on top of it all. So it's kind of our last question then to Gordon before we open up to Q&A from the audience, is that now that Whimsy Tea is at its second location right here across my shoulder, like close to the market still, what prompted that move from the other brick and mortar to this larger space, and what does your support community kind of look like now as far as organization and folks that you engage?
Okay, so what prompted it? There were many reasons why the space we had, I think we'd outgrown. And so that space was under 300 square feet. There was no way we were going to get a commercial kitchen license in there. It just wasn't going to happen. The plumbing was all the way in the back, and it just wasn't going to work for any amount of expansion. And so the space behind me was open. It had been initially developed for another bakery, and then they walked away from it and they left that space available for us, and so we took that space over. So support community. If you look over here at JP Kelly's, and then you look at all the businesses on either side of the road, all the way over there to Innovate Springfield. Hi, Innovate. I see you. That's our support system. You know, we've got DSI support, Alderwoman Lakeisha Purchase's support. Everybody on these two blocks, that's our support. And then people from outside. My friend Kevin back there, there's support. My friend David back there, that's also support. Everybody works together. Everybody is supportive. If I've got like a crazy idea, I can run it by any number of people and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And if it's stupid, they'll tell me, you know. But also they can be like, okay, that might not work that way, but here's a tweak that'll make it work better. And that's a support that someone like me that stepped into business without being a business person has been incredibly invaluable, you know. Yeah, so.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. We actually are right on our time before we can open it up for some Q&A, but can we hear it for our panelists, please? They did a great job today. I want this mic to ask the question. There you go.
Okay, who has questions? Come up to me.
Go up to Kayla. Sorry, I should have warmed that up.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Wake of the Future Wakery. So the Wakery is going to be a coffee house and non-alcoholic bar, but I would like to start at the farmer's market with some drinks. So I make my own simple syrups, and I use different herbs and some Whimsy tea, and so I make that stuff in-house, but then at the market I'm assembling the drinks. So does that still fall under cottage food, or?
So cottage food wants you to prepare everything at your home. So you could make your drinks at home and then cold hold them and bring them to the market, and that would be covered under cottage food. Okay. So that is, food and beverage is now cottage food. So yes, simple syrups, make your product at home and sell away. Yes.
That leads me to a question, sorry, real quick. I know coffee is a gray zone. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit about coffee?
Coffee is a gray zone. So we don't get involved with just the standard brew. That's, to us, it's not potentially hazardous. There's nothing in there that needs to be time temperature controlled. We want you to clean the pot, and that's it. So whenever you get coffee from the bank and the gas station, or not the gas station, but like your oil change place, that's something we're not going to regulate. It's not our purview. When you add a dairy component to it, or ice, because ice is a food, then we start getting involved. So then cottage food, temporary permit with us, which I didn't even delve into today because that's a whole nother set of rules with that. But again, with coffee product, because you have a dairy component that needs to be refrigerated, or ice, which again is considered a food, you can spread viruses that way, then we would get involved and we'd want you to get a temporary food permit with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question, Kayla, and it hurts my stomach every morning and helps me detox. Okay, so I have two things. I would like to ask, was there any problems that you ran into with the city when it was time to go into your No pressure, but that's what I'm here for. Was there any problems that you ran into? Because we're continuously trying to invite people to come into downtown. So I like to come and listen to these training sessions so I know how we can better help you from the city perspective.
Okay, so that went obviously for me. So most of this stuff was done and permitted and all that stuff before we moved in. The inspection process was pretty cut and dry. What was difficult is the fact that if I'm on the 300 block of Adams, there's one set of rules and regulations. If I'm on, I don't know, 5th Street, there's an entirely different set. Like, there is no consistency about what zoning or whatever has to be followed. So there's no way that there can be like a guidebook that, okay, I checked this off, okay, I did this, and everything's okay. You have to go back to the inspection process and then like, oh yeah, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. And that makes it really hard for somebody to plan a business when you've got all that money out there and you're like, sweet, I'm ready to go. And they're like, oh, but you're not. So here's this error, and here's this error, and here's this. I see like developers nodding. There's a beauty shop down on Monroe that they did everything that they possibly could. They talked to the city. They said, hey, what do we need? What do we need? They talked to state licensing boards, all that fun stuff. And they thought they were good to go. Somebody came in and said, oh no, you've got to go see the administrative law judge because you don't have a ventilation system on your nail salon. Nobody has that, but then they had to. And nobody told them that they had to have it. So that seems unfair to me. And what I hear just as being a part of downtown is the 3 to 9 month gap between you submit a permit request and it getting passed is counterproductive, if that makes sense.
And my last follow-up, and just to follow up on the permitting system, we have implemented a new system. So if you all are having any issues, please contact me or Kayla to let me know so that we can follow up. That is my job, to advocate for you all. So I need you to contact me when you're having issues so that I can be that net at a barbecue that you just can't kill. So then my last part to follow up, what do you think, since there is some confusion, thank you for bringing that up because I did not know that myself. What do you think we can do better as the city? Should Kayla have a session where we just have Public Works, the zoning area, the permitting area come out? But let me just say, when we put this together, I need you all to show up so that you can ask the uncomfortable questions, and we have everyone sitting there, from myself to the mayor to Director Bottom to everybody that runs these different areas. That's our
So I just wanted to reiterate that last part before we was interrupted by our best friend, the train. That I am willing with Kayla to make sure that we organize something like this to take place. But what I need from you all is to participate and come and show up. Ask the questions to each of us. We need to have this sorted through. To hear him say that there's confusion between different areas of downtown, we need to be one band, one sound. And if we aren't one band and one sound, explain to the community why we can't be that way, so that we can keep inviting developers and hopefully getting them to continue to do more things down here. So I just wanted to tell you all that's what we're going to do, and I just need you all to help me by participating. Thank you so much, and I hope that's helpful to you too. Thank you for sharing that.
Sorry about that. So honestly, for someone that's not in construction, that isn't in development, I would like there to be something as simple as a coloring book that I can say, okay, I'm going to be doing a restaurant, so I need this. I'm not going to have a deep fat fryer, so I may not need a hood, like that kind of stuff, like a checklist that I can go through and be like, all right, cool. And to my best knowledge, I'll be in compliance. And that way we don't have, say we have an inspection and I'm obnoxious. I know it's a stretch, but, and they're like, oh, nope, you got to have this. We want to make sure that everything comes across, that we know exactly what it is and it's consistent. So.
Do we have any more questions, please? Perfect.
I'm Christina at Astro Wine across the street, and my question's for my future neighbor. Can you expand upon the idea of why you chose downtown as your brick and mortar versus the west side or any other part of town? Why was it downtown?
I'm a big proponent of weird. Like, so every town I go to, the areas I gravitate to are the weird, quirky, unique things that make those places special. Like if we go to New Orleans, we're going to the French Quarter, right? You know, we may go to Metairie, we may go to, you know, Violet or something like that, but we go there for the unique spots. If we go to Ann Arbor, Michigan, there is a huge walking mall. We go there. We go to Chicago, we're going to the Chris Kindle Market. That uniqueness suits us, you know, as a family and as a business. We're not cookie cutter here. We're not West Side, because the West Side, those are curated experiences that are repeated over and over and over and over again. We gravitate to downtown because we want to be part of something unique.
We got one more question.
Yeah, I'm making you up.
I don't know why I said one more. People can ask more questions.
Yeah. Is this? Oh, I got you. Thank you. So for someone in our community who has an idea, who's just starting out, where would you point them? What resources do you feel like have been the most valuable to you?
Shameless self-promotion. Innovate Springfield, that was our first stop. Second stop is DSI, like bar none. They're the people that know everybody. They have all the connections. They can guide you where you need to go. They can say, hey, maybe you need to talk to this person. And those conversations are always incredibly helpful and fruitful.
Gordon, were you a participant in Co-Starters? Did we cover that?
Covered it, but yes. So yes, Co-Starters. Thank you for the reminder, Kayla. So Co-Starters is a thing. It's a group project that takes what, 3 months, Sarah? 10 weeks. And there you can fine tune your idea. Like numbers don't make sense to me, so I could go through Co-Starters and it could be like, all right, so where is your break-even point? Because I had no idea where that was. And you get in these cohorts with incredibly creative, incredibly talented people that can help guide you through your blind spots. You can talk about those ideas, and everybody has so much expertise, and it's stuff that, like, I think I've got a great idea. I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna work. And then Kevin over here says, ooh, maybe you should think about this. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that, because that's one of my blind spots. In business and in life, we all have blind spots. And if we can get a large group of people together that are incredibly talented and incredibly experienced, and within a framework that's designed to bring about these conversations and to better our ideas, it's a no-brainer. You should absolutely do it.
Last opportunity. All right, well, I'll let Piero wrap up, but I know we like to take a big group picture at the end, so don't run away.
Thank you, Kayla. All right, well, thank you everybody so much for coming out tonight. I just want to call out just a couple of last folks as far as my market. I see a lot of my vendors out here, so I'd like to just shout them out. And their market, we have Trish over there with Schlo Foods. We have Denise Perry with Copper Pot Cooking and our mobile food, and also a project that is coming up with the Cons over Vinegar Hill. I highly encourage everybody to go and discuss that with her as well. Another part of our ecosystem that's coming to bear. We have Michael and Jessica over here from Itty Bitty Micro Farm. And as I mentioned earlier, again, Bonnie with Diesel Buns is still out here as well. And then can we hear one more last time for our panelists who did a great job explaining everything to us. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you, Nick.
Come on up for our photo.
Everyone up here.
Do you want to move the table so we can have the
Sure,
moment?
yes.
Oh, yes. Don't let me walk off with it.
Thank you. I was going to say, you just stay right there.